I am thrilled, a little tired, but thrilled to host this morning's Shark Tank of Wellness student competition. We decided in honor of our 10th anniversary to change our approach to this competition, reflecting the way the industry has changed. The Shark Tank of Wellness is a unique global challenge in which university students have the opportunity to submit their most innovative, impactful idea for the wellness industry, which we now define as architecture, design, beauty, education, fitness, hospitality, investment, medicine, nutrition, real estate, spa, technology, travel, tourism. Did I miss anything? We received 60 entries, this is our first year of doing this, from 16 countries. Yeah. And today you will see the 3 finalists defend their ideas in front of our own wellness sharks who you'll meet in a minute. The finalists were chosen based on their project innovation, the visual design and appeal of their innovative product, relevance to wellness, viability as a business, very important, and the quality of project presentation, both the written proposal they had to submit and a video they had to submit. There's a 2-minute video that they each had to do, and you're going to see those so that you know what the judges know. Before I bring the wellness sharks into the tank, I wanted to acknowledge 2 people. First, Alexandra Plessier, you in the room? Yes, you are. There would not have been a competition without Alexandra. She drove this project. She would not come up here with me today, but she drove this project through marketing and social media, really, like just a pro, connecting with the students and helping to create an incredibly successful competition. Alexandra, stand up. The second person is Mary Tabaki, who for years was the driving force behind the student competition, and who this year was my secret shark, helping me to navigate the process, ensuring credibility and adherence to high educational standards. Mary, come take a bow. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the judges for the Shark Tank of Wellness, our own wellness sharks. And they're going to come up as I do that. Simon Casson, Four Seasons Hotels and Resorts, UAE. Tracy Chappell, Espa International, UK. Jane Iredale Mineral Cosmetics, US. Sheila McCann, Chivasam International Healthy Resort, Thailand. Frank Pizzicalis Resort Suite, Canada. And Frank Strobel Klafs, GmbH & Company, KG, Germany. Okay, the format for today is fairly straightforward. We'll introduce a finalist, play their video, so you'll all know what the project was, and then we'll give each student 1 minute to say something directly to the judges, and the judges get 9 minutes for questions. The first student, alas, is coming to us via Skype. She was not able to obtain a visa to be here in person, but hopefully this will work. Please welcome Shahrin Ali from North South University, Bangladesh. Shahrin, are you there? She's going to be in the center screen, I think, in a moment.
Hello.
Hello. Sharon, we're going to see you.
Yes, hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. We haven't been able to see you yet, but while we get that straightened out, maybe we could play the Sharon's 2-minute video.
Women aged between 10 to 55 menstruate every month. In Bangladesh, 14 million women menstruate every day. Sadly, 80% of the women cannot afford sanitary napkins. Instead, they use unhygienic substances such as sand, leaves, mud, or unsterilized clothes and rags. According to a survey conducted by UNICEF, 80% of the surveyed females stored their menstrual clothes in a hidden dirty place for repeated use. 40% failed to change their clothes frequently or wash them with soap after use. 50% failed to dry their menstrual rags outside and in full sun, which is an essential condition required to kill bacteria. Such unhygienic practices lead to itching, burning, vaginal and urinary tract infections, infertility and other reproductive health complications, cervical cancer, and even death. The report also reflected that 40% of the surveyed girls missed their schools during menstruation. This group of unprivileged women are in dire need of a solution. Introducing Mukto Sanitary Napkin, which is an inexpensive 3-layer dye-side sanitary napkin made from recycled textile cotton waste. Targeted to all women and young girls of the lower middle and low income strata, both in the urban and rural areas who do not have access to hygienic sanitary disposals. Because of its property of being made out of recycled textile cotton waste and the use of minimal synthetic material, it is not only affordable for most women, but it also aids to environmental sustainability. Moreover, no additives or petrochemicals are added, making women less vulnerable to health complications. It also has 4 springs attached to both sides of the pad so that women who do not wear undergarments can tie it around their thighs and keep the pad in position. The use of recycled material and the simple production technique will enable all ranges of women to wield the sanitary napkin at a range of only 80 paisa or 1 Bangladeshi taka. The wide availability of materials needed and the simplistic production process will enable Mukto sanitary napkin to be expanded globally in the future. Menstruation is inevitable and natural for all women. So to all the women in the world, let's bleed with pride with Mukto sanitary napkin.
Sharon, I hope you can hear the applause, and please turn your video back on. I think, Sharon, maybe you have your video off?
Can you see me now?
Not yet. We just see the icon, but your video is on your Skype?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay. You know what? Let's keep going like this and see if we can, if that comes up, if your picture comes up. Sue, should we just keep going? Okay. Sharon, you have a minute, which I'm going to time, for you to say something to the sharks and the audience before they ask you questions.
Okay, sure. Do I start?
Yep.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I'm extremely sorry I couldn't be there in person. However, I think I've covered every aspect of my product in the concept submission form and the video that was just shown. However, in this 1 minute that I'm given, I would like to give you a picture of why I chose to work on this sensitive issue in the first place. Well, did you know that our reproductive organs are just as sensitive as our eyes? You know, imagine when a bit of dust enters our eyes, it hurts and we start scraping and rubbing our eyes until we get rid of it. Now imagine the state of all those women who has no other option but to use substances like mud, ash, leaves, paper, damp clothes just to stop their menstrual flow. Only because they're a group of unprivileged women who cannot afford sanitary napkins that are designed usually for the affluent. Added to that, imagine there is a lot of stereotypes and taboos that exist. Do you really think it is the fault of all the women that they cannot afford sanitary napkins, and that it's natural and it's inevitable and that helps to keep the human life cycle balanced?
Sharon, I'm going to interrupt you. You're way over time. I want the judges to have time to ask you questions. So I'm going to ask the judges to begin. And I think Tracy's taking the mic. They're all on.
They're on. Okay, fantastic. Sharon, hello. It's very nice to meet you. My name is Tracy Chappell.
Hi. Yes.
I thought that your submission was very thoughtful. It's very clever.
Thank you.
Very altruistic. And I'm interested, in reading your application, I'm interested in what you've said about the health and the medical issues that come about from perhaps the lack of education, but also the way that ladies are taking care of themselves at the moment. Have you had a chance to look at what the financial burden is at the moment in Bangladesh because of the medical issues that come about because of the way people are taking care of themselves at the moment? Because I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for you to have a grant.
Well, honestly, the reason why I chose this project is because in terms of financial aspects, I think it is viable, and not really sure about the grant, but I think if I was given the proper opportunity, we could actually make this work. Because the form of raw materials that I'm using is usually recycled materials and that are highly available everywhere. And I think it's easy to recycle it and convert it back to cotton, through which you can actually make the sanitary napkins at a very low cost.
Very good, thank you.
Sharon, just try one more time to put your video on and off. Stay connected, but just try one more time, because it seems it's on your end that the video is off. And while you're trying that, we'll go to the next question.
Okay, do you want me to call again?
No,
if that's okay?
no. Stay connected. Don't go away.
Okay.
Stay with us, Shahrin. This is Simon. You're coming through loud and clear. So I'm interested for your idea. Have you produced a prototype or do you have an idea of what the first stage of financial funding, what the first round requirement would be to bring what sounds like a marvelous idea into reality?
Well, like I said, my product has basically 3 layers. And the first step would definitely mean getting the raw materials. And like I said, since Bangladesh kind of excels in the textile industry, and around every textile garments that we have here, the factories that we have here, they produce around 20 to 30% of the cotton waste. So this cotton waste can be able to directly from the factories, or it can be able through third parties. So the first step would obviously mean getting in contact with these vendors so we can keep these raw materials coming. And afterwards, we have machines that will convert this unprocessed or this waste into raw cotton, through which you can basically process further and turn it into sanitary napkins.
What was the question, Shahrin?
Sorry.
So what was my question? You gave a beautiful answer, but you didn't answer the question. Sorry, we did decide amongst us who had to be the good cops and the bad cops. So I asked you, do you have a prototype, and what's your first round funding requirement to bring the idea to life?
No, I don't have a prototype yet. It's just an idea. And the funding, I'm not really sure about that yet, because it's just an idea, and I wanted to work on this issue because it's really important all over the world. Yeah.
Okay, next question.
Hello, this is Jane. I'd like to get a little bit clearer on your ideas for distribution. So I think the idea and bringing it to market is relatively simple. It's actually getting it into the hands of the women who need it. So can you explain a little bit more about that?
The distribution would be very, very difficult, to be very honest, because you have to reach in places where you don't really where people do not really have much access to proper information and technology. However, what I was thinking is that if I could collaborate with some sort of a distribution company, for example, here we have very small distribution companies who actually we have a lot of NGOs that I could incorporate with, so that they can help me further with the distribution and further with the education and training. Yeah.
Hi, Sharon, it's Sheila speaking. I was looking at your proposition, and I think it's a really valid proposition going forward. But I have a question, and it's quite a strong one. How are you going to address a lot of the cultural taboos which have left this population in this situation in the first place? Because I think there's an education element that would really drive the product, and I believe that your tagline, "Bleed with Pride," might be very provocative.
Well, thank you for your question. First of all, what I wanted to address is the need of these women. Well, this is something that is talked behind closed doors. And this is a problem that most women face, but they really don't want to talk about it, right? So we might have a little of a trouble probably educating all of these people, but if we could deliver them the message saying that it is for these women and how this could stop their menstrual flow every month, and how it's more hygienic, and how they can resume their everyday life, I think we can actually reach a greater target market.
It's Frank Pizzicalis. So my question for you is sort of along the lines of what's been asked, but just want to dig in a little more. To me, looking at this, it just seems like such a great solution, an obvious one. So when you think of the burden on healthcare, how have you done any research around how you would take this to, let's say, government and look at, from the healthcare side of things for either a grant or, because I think, again, to minimize the impact on the healthcare from an economic perspective, it seems a no-brainer. So, and again, the cost that you have, I mean, a fraction of a penny, you know, maybe 5 or 6 per penny, seems very, very low. And just wondering how you came to that number. How did you come up with that number in terms of the cost for this solution?
Well, firstly, thank you for your question. And like I said, we have a couple of NGOs that are working for this unprivileged group of women. We could actually take the help of these NGOs because they're usually very, very eager to work for the society and to address such issues. And secondly, about the financials, I basically looked into a couple of machines that could be used. So starting with the estimation, I made an estimation of the machines, how much it might cost to get the raw materials, the textile cotton waste, because they also come at a price. And I've also looked at how the process can be smoothened. Given all that, I have added the cost, and I've come up that it could be produced at a cost as low as this. However, the cost that I've mentioned is basically the cost of one sanitary napkin. So if you're producing, for example, a packet, that would be around 10 taka, which is around like 20 cents in USD. Yeah.
We've got time for maybe one more quick question.
Okay, this is Frank. Hello. I also have a question basically regarding the bigger picture, let's say that way. And did you thought about anything outside the specific use of the product? Is there anything more you can think of we could do with that?
Well, honestly, I really haven't thought about that because I was focusing on addressing the problem of disposing the menstrual waste. So I was trying to make sure that we actually come up with a product that will help women to solve this issue and do their daily activities more smoothly. So one of the you would see one of the added features here with that is that in our country most people do not actually wear innerwear. So you would see the strings that are attached to it. So it will be more easier and more convenient for people to wear it, more convenient for people to use it. And more importantly, the main issue that I wanted to address with this product is that so that people can actually do their daily activities without any sort of a problem. Because in our country, when women menstruate, when they have their periods every month, they usually skip work, and they don't usually do a lot of they can't do the daily activities because of this inconvenience. So I really wanted to address that issue so that women do not have to skip work. They do not have to skip their daily regular activities.
Excuse me, Sharon, it's Nancy. I'm going to have to stop you there. We're running a little bit over. I just want to say thank you very much for being with us. Sorry we couldn't see your beautiful face, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sharks. The next finalist is Svjetlana Radakovic from IMC University of Applied Sciences, Krems, Austria. If Svjetlana would come up. Hello, hello. You can stand right there and hang on while we play your video so everybody can know what you're thinking.
With our amazingly designed heat and waterproof spa watch, you can now relax and focus entirely on your well-being without having to worry about losing your locker keys or carrying money with you. It even guides you through your spa program and suggests treatments based on your body temperature and heart rate. Customer version functions. Locker key. Payment function. Measures body temperature. Measures heart rate. Map of the spa and GPS for easier navigation. It shows a personal spa program created by the personal trainer with detailed information and a sequence of treatments and activities. And finally, it provides information about all the treatments offered in the spa. Customer version spa watch design. Examples of the spa watch functions. Employee version functions. It locks and open doors, function for processing payments. Spa program function to follow the client progress or to make changes to the program. It shows appointments for treatments, and buzzes employees when someone enters the spa. Employee version spa watch design.
Okay, Svjetlana, you have 1 minute to say something to the judges before they have questions for you.
Okay.
Put the microphone right up to your mouth.
Okay. The watch provides many benefits to the customers, such as ultimate relaxation and well-being, as they don't have to worry about anything, and the watch guides them to get the most out of their spa visit. Second, safety and customization, as the watch monitors their body functions and and tailor suggestions based on their needs and their current condition. And third, convenience and useful knowledge, as they're able to make purchases, to schedule appointments on the watch, and to learn about spa treatments and benefits. From the spa point of view, the watch offers an opportunity to, first of all, increase the profit, second of all, to increase competitiveness, as the watch collects data about customers and their preferences, third, to have more efficient staff, and finally, to have more satisfied and more educated customers, which will ultimately lead to converting these clients into regular wellness customers. Thank you.
Perfect, that was exactly a minute. There's got to be a separate prize for that. Okay, Sharks?
Hi. My first question would be, did you thought about the barrier this watch will create with the clients? Because at the end of the day, I need to wear that thing. I give all my information to you. Did you thought about how you could overcome that kind of issue with certain clients? Maybe not with the young generation, but with the older one. Probably it is a barrier.
Okay. Well, you mean about the older generation and their resistance to technology?
Snap.
Got it.
Did you have that in mind? Well, I know that the spa should be a place and should remain a place to disconnect from the technology. I understand that. I completely agree with that. But then the spa, they need to have some form of technology in order to improve customer experiences and to just bridge the gap between them and the customers through these useful functions. As for the older generations, I don't see why there would be a resistance from their side, because it brings many benefits to them. It's very useful because it monitors their functions, their heart rate, their body temperature, so it keeps them safe, especially if they have some health conditions. Which, I mean, you're supposed to enter your gender, age, your weight, and your health issues when you turn on the watch. Everything is not really presented in the movie because it's very short. But then the watch tailors suggestions based on that. It can be actually very useful for the older generations, especially if they have some health issues.
Okay, thanks.
So Svjetlana, we're seated in age order, so I'll represent the younger generation. So for a great idea to be a success, it has to move into a space that's currently unrepresented in the market. So what's the USP that your product would bring versus what you can already get through a Fitbit, a Jawbone, and an iWatch? How are you going to, what is that space in the market that you see as currently unrepresented?
Okay, first of all, the spa watch is heat and waterproof, which I don't think these devices are. Second of all, these devices are not designed for spas. This device should improve customers' experiences, increase the profit, and increase competitiveness of the spas in the market. Does that answer your question?
Somewhat, but not enough. You know, it's a busy space. You know, wearable technology is you know, in terms of innovation, it's already well represented.
Okay.
So I'm just specifically want to know, you must have done a lot of market research to see this niche and this gap that you're going to fit. You know, I think an iWatch can do a lot in terms of payments, in terms of body monitoring, can do a lot of what you're saying.
Yes, I agree with that. But you cannot exactly wear it in a sauna or go swimming with that.
We have another question?
So I'm the technology guy on the panel. So, and my point was really very similar to Simon's in the sense that, you know, a lot of the technology available today in smartwatches are very ruggedized. You know, they are water resistant and obviously for various things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious why, because I was sure it would obviously drive up the cost considerably to build a watch of this nature, why you wouldn't use sort of off-the-shelf technology to sort of bring it to life, to really lower your cost and really build the software, which is, I think, the magic of this.
Yes.
And then the other side of it is, have you considered, in terms of taking this to market, in my view, we do booking software, and in my view, starting this with a solution that helps the staff would be a great approach, because that's a great way for them to communicate as opposed to trying to deliver this, you know, immediately to the guest. The guest could be, maybe that's the last mile, but I'm just curious about how you were thinking about actually developing this and then taking it to market.
Okay, I agree with you about everything. First of all, if there would be a device that would be already on the market, that it's very thin and bendable, that it's waterproof and heat-proof, then of course that's another option. Just the software could be developed to reduce the cost. That's another option, obviously. And also, yes, I think that the employee version of the spa watch is very useful, and that it should be implemented first. I also agree with that.
Svjetlana, I have a question regarding data security and data privacy, because that's a really important aspect of protecting one's client. Okay. There is something called HIPAA compliance, HIPPA, and a lot of small operators in our industry don't know what that is, and they wouldn't necessarily have the skill sets within the spa team to be able to protect their information or protect their systems. How would you propose to address that with your concept?
Well, this device could use the same security system as the spa company is using. It can be even connected to that. So I don't really see an issue with that, with the security.
Connecting systems is quite difficult, and it's not a skill set that I have, so therefore we rely on companies like Resort Suite. So it's a critical component of your business model and getting that right, because otherwise most small operators don't have those skills in-house, and then they have to rely on people who don't understand the business necessarily.
Okay, and do you specifically mean that about the function of the payment function? The data security about credit card information?
There's health information, there's personal details, there's payments.
Okay, well, the customers really need to provide their names when they're using their watch. And they have two options when it comes to payments. They can enter their credit card information and use the watch to pay for it, like with a credit card. Or they can just scan the items and then add to their account and pay at the reception, either with a credit card or in cash.
Can I ask one more quick question?
Yes.
How large is your device? Speaking as a representation of
I know
the older
it looks
population,
huge.
I might not see it.
I know. No, it should be, well, I don't know the exact measures, but it should be large enough to, well, I wish I could, I have like a paper prototypes that I made, but I didn't bring them. But I can maybe show you that later.
Probably have time for one more question.
Svjetlana, if you won the $5,000, what would you spend it on?
I'm going to split that money with my colleagues that work with me in a team.
To invest in the product or to go skiing?
I haven't thought about the money yet. I was just nervous preparing for this competition. I did not think about the money.
We have time for one more.
Oh, no, I'd just like to add that speaking as somebody who was totally flummoxed by the Fitbit and ended up discarding it, I think you need to make sure that you have built enough time into this equation to educate people like me about. Otherwise, all you're going to do is just add to my stress level when I go into the spa, and I think that's a really important piece of that. And I'm glad you brought it up.
Okay, I'll remember that.
We've got 25 seconds. I'm going to make one final comment.
Okay.
I wonder if it would be better to consider this as an app rather than a full piece of technology, because heat proofing and waterproofing are going to be an enormous amount of investment. This may well be an app that could integrate with systems such as Resort Suite that Frank has.
Oh yes, definitely.
That exist at
As
the moment.
was already mentioned, yes, I agree. That's another option, definitely. If there
Well,
is a device, yes.
That's perfect. That's all we have time for. Svjetlana, thank you so much.
Okay, thank
Obviously,
you.
you need to see Frank later. Thank you so much. Okay, the last finalist this morning is Regina Tarány, also from IMC University of Applied Sciences, Krems, Austria. Regina, come on up. Hang on to this, but we're going to play your video first, and then we'll have you speak.
Hello, how can I help you?
Well, we would like to book a treatment.
We have this brochure already here.
Do you have something shorter? I haven't read so much since the university.
Well, I can tell you what treatment contains, and then you can choose. For example, the first one is... What kind of treatment do you prefer?
Well, I still don't know, I have to choose one. You know what? Thank you. I will just bring this and try to choose something. Thank you. It's the last day and I still haven't chosen any treatments. I don't know what to do. It's so complicated and I really have to choose one.
Come on, choose one.
Yeah, but
I always have these problems with booking. Every spa wants you to book at least 3 days prior to the treatment.
That's my problem.
Hello, welcome to Harmony Spa. How can I help you?
We would like to book a treatment.
Well, I can offer you to read our brochures, or you can try to use our new treat advisor.
Wow, what is this?
Well, it helps you to choose the right treatment for you. It's very easy
So
and quick.
cool. Okay, they have English. Please touch the screen to find the best treatment for you. I feel this pain in my back, because of the stress.
Then this one?
Yeah, hopefully. Well, I'm finished. Your treatment is acupressure with Clara at 1 o'clock. Please arrive to the reception 10 minutes prior to the appointment. Have a pleasant journey. That's so cool.
Nice, really cool.
Okay, so it's booked and everything?
Yes, everything is done. Do you enjoy the process of choosing your
Yes,
treatment?
it's so easy and so cool.
And now we have extra time for coffee. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go to coffee. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, Regina, you have a minute to say something to the sharks before they start asking you questions. Come right into the center there. Thank you.
Thank you. We realized that everything is getting digitalized, going on the internet today. Everything is getting computer supported. And we realized that there is a screaming gap in the supply chain when selling treatments regarding the technologies. Imagine a system that sells by itself. So guests come to the hotel and they don't know what they want, they don't know what they expect, but they expect us to know what they want exactly. So why don't just ask them and guide them through their decision-making process by TreatAdvisor? They can choose treatments, they can choose their appointment with TreatAdvisor, they can choose their therapist. You can offer them bonuses for the least popular hours of the day. You can offer them packages. It's all about upselling, and this is what this industry is about. With TreatAdvisor everywhere in the hotel, you can increase your capture rate, and you can increase your occupancy rate also. Thank you.
Terrific. Okay. Questions?
Very nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my question is, this is, I think, a great concept. To me, today's consumer does want to self-explore, and be it when they get to the spa or online when they're booking their journey. So I'm just curious, have you thought about this as, because I saw some booking where there were some open time slots. Are you thinking of integrating that with the booking system so that you provide sort of the front end with all the sort of content management and understanding of that booking journey or the self-discovery of the treatments, and then hooking it into existing systems? Or are you looking at actually doing the booking as well?
Well, we thought about that it could do the booking itself. So it could be connected to the hotel's internal system and do the booking as the guests are using their card or watch in the spa or in the hotel.
So my point to you, and I'd like to hear your comments, are the ability to work with hotels and resorts and integrate with their property management systems. It's a very complex thing. We've been working at it for over a decade, and I still feel like we're still a startup. So I just my sort of perspective on it would be, you have a real choice there. I think you could help a lot of software companies in making their booking systems more approachable, but then trying to do all of the back end, that's a very daunting task. All of the building those relationships with hotel brands or with independents. So I think you have a real question there in terms of, do you integrate with other systems or do you try to build it yourself with the back end? So just curious.
We were planning to build it ourselves. So it's a completely independent system that is going to be happening.
Great.
Cost to build and how much you would charge an end user for your proprietary software?
Well, it depends on the features that they want to integrate in the program, because we were thinking about feedbacks also. So also how much of the hardware you want to integrate in your hotel or spa. You can have it in front of the elevators, you can have it in front of the breakfast hall, you can have it in the spa itself, you can have it anywhere basically. It can also be connected with the televisions in the room, the booking system of the hotel, the reception, the spa reception. So it's really hard to say, really hard to tell. But actually, it's the cost of the development of the software, the base software, plus to individualize it to the hotel itself or the spa itself, and then the amount of the hardware themselves.
Brace yourself. So have you done a business plan if you don't know what your cost to develop is?
Well, it's in the planning stage. We are already discussing with software or application developers, to be exact. But it would be an amount, a fixed amount in the beginning. And if there is a turnover, that we guarantee, then we would ask for a different percentage from the profit that they are gaining from the system itself. So I cannot say exact figures, obviously.
But maybe you should, right? You're coming and asking us for investment, and you can't tell us what the requirement for funding to get the idea off the ground is.
Well, to develop the software itself would be, as far as I know, would be at least 4,000 or 5,000, but that would be just the for our cost, you know. And there would have a spine system, and we would develop that further individually for the hotel. So it would be not much additional work, but we have to do. But we have to discuss with the hotel, and we have to. It depends on their treatments that they want to offer, for example. Because if they just want to have like 10 or 12 base treatments, massages, and for 3-star spas or something, or they are a luxury spa with, I don't know, like 30 different kinds of treatments. It just depends. We just have to negotiate in the coffee break, maybe.
I believe that's an offer.
On a very practical level, I think there are aspects of what you suggested which are really interesting. However, if you look at you touched on the concept of customization for each property. You mentioned a hotel spa. I run a destination retreat with 200 different services on the menu. Okay. There are very important
cost a little bit more.
It will cost a little more, I'm sure. But there are very important questions around the sort of decision tree that goes with booking treatments about the sequencing. You do not want to do a colonic immediately before a water-based treatment, as one example. And there are also contraindications. Perhaps you could just explain a little bit about how your system would address those.
Well, honestly, it's a really good question. It's the hardest thing to do, because this is the whole thing that is about the system of the treatments, how it's suggested through steps technologically to the guest, what kind of questions is to be asked and what kind of answers would then end up in the suggestions of those 3 treatments. Well, that is really hard, that we would have to work together a lot, and obviously we have the shame of the general treatments. For example, thalassotherapy have maybe different kinds, or a cosmetical whatever treatment has a base and then has extra features, and depending on the answers of the guest would suggest the program the special feature extra. But it's hard. I would need a software developer. I cannot do it myself.
Would you see this system as a standalone system? So whatever comes out of it, I will book it? Or is there an additional advice from a human being as well? Doing a bit of an upsell and yeah, giving this personal touch, I think everybody's looking for when he's going to a spa.
Well, your question is that you could just by itself, the software, could you book as a guest the treatment, and you don't have to have in contact with the staff, right?
Yeah, but will I have contact with staff if I want?
Sorry?
Will I have contact with any kind of staff when I want?
Yeah, obviously there would be the spa reception. You can go to the spa reception whenever you want, and you can also. It's also good for informating the guest. So giving them information so they don't have to book in the end. They can just cancel the whole process. They just want to check, well, I have a back pain, I'm stressed, and this is what the program suggests, and then you can go down to the reception and have a feedback if it's really working, you know. But you need to have a reception, obviously, because people are still afraid of getting completely computerized. They need human touch and human contact, also, obviously, in spas.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point. I mean, it's a good groundwork for the staff to get very good information from the client, but at the end of the day, it's the personal thing which makes the sale and which gets people into treatments. Thanks.
Obviously, and sorry, you can have 2 different or several different kinds of the program that gives you a booking right away, or it can suggest you the treatment itself and then advise you to go down to the reception and book this treatment in the end. It depends on your budget, how much you want to invest, and we would have to put this thing on the software that can book, and we have to connect with the hotel. If you don't want to connect with us, with our system, then you don't have to.
Okay, we are out of time, unless there's one last comment from anyone. Tracy, did you want to say something?
Really quickly, if you don't mind. I think you've identified something really important in the industry, which is that people have difficulty choosing treatments. And our menus are as big as you showed, very comically. But I think that there could be an opportunity for you to narrow down your business plan into producing, perhaps I'm repeating myself, but an app or a platform that allows people to make their selections, educate them about what treatments do for them, perhaps to go down that, as you say, decision tree, to say, these are my ailments, this is what I need, and to monetize that first, rather than going right into the technology. I think there might be a middle ground for you to consider first of all. Mm-hmm. I'll leave that as a thought with you.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Regina.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sharks. Our judges will be deliberating today and will announce the winner in the afternoon.